South African private equity firm Capital Works plans to launch a London-based business to provide financial and operational support for hedge funds. The new venture, Safira Investment Advisors, marks the first major entry into Britain for Capital Works, one of the biggest South African-based private equity firms with $515 million of assets under management. Regulatory filings in Britain showed two funds registered to Safira Investment Advisors, comprising Safira Gem Equity and Safira EM Asia Equity. Capital Works will provide a regulatory platform for the funds, help fundraise, particularly in South Africa, and inject some cash from its underlying investors, many of whom are South African. Nigeria's first ride-hailing motorcycle taxi service, Maxgo, is cutting its teeth in the country's commercial capital, Lagos. Lagos is a densely populated metropolis famous for gridlock, traffic jams and chaotic roads, and Maxgo is determined to ease the movement of residents, especially during the morning rush hour. If taken as a country on its own, Lagos would be amongst the largest economies in Africa. It's been able to diversify its economy and to considerably reduce its dependence on oil allocations. By 7 a.m. in Nigeria's economic capital, several millions of people are trying to get to work. To beat the dreadful traffic, Bayo Johnson commutes to work in a motorcycle taxi from Maxgo, a newly launched ride-hailing service designed with this teeming megacity in mind. Lagos accounts for over 60% of industrial and commercial activities in Nigeria, but with no public rail network and not enough highways linking the residential and commercial areas, rush hour is a battle.
It is relatively cheaper compared to normal bikes I've been taking so far. And once the rider arrived, he gave me an hairnet and a helmet to protect myself. And so far, it's been good so far.
While the economy of metropolitan Lagos has enormous competitive assets, it faces challenging trends in rapid population growth, urbanization, relentless demands for infrastructure, as well as macroeconomic pressures from the national level. Many motorcycle taxis, known locally as Okadas, and rickshaws called kekes, ply several routes here. They're as much as a part of Lagos congestion as are the millions of vehicles that snake highways and inner roads. Maxgo senior developer Patrick Foe says the app, similar to tech solutions like Uber and Taxify, offers some method to the madness. A ride carries a base fare of 100 naira and goes up based on time and distance.
Currently, we do not have adequate public transportation systems, and most of the existing transportation systems are mostly very informal, the downfall buses and the Okadas, and there's really no professionalism around them, and it takes a lot of stress to also get to them. So Maxgo was born out of the need for a professionalized transportation system, and the easiest transportation system to professionalize for us was the motorcycle system.
From a delivery service with a fleet of more than 100 motorcycles and drivers, the company, Metro Africa Express, which launched in 2015, transitioned into the on-demand taxi service. After launching in June, the Maxgo app has been downloaded 1,000 times from the Google Play Store. Maxgo makes it mandatory for riders and passengers to wear helmets, while also providing passengers with liability insurance. Lagos residents are keen on safer and affordable options, and Mango expects its customer base to grow rapidly. Uber, as an example, had already offered 1 million trips within the first 2 years of launching in Nigeria. Maxgo hopes to emulate the success of services in other countries like Thailand and Indonesia, where motorcycle taxis also cater to a large population. And away from Nigeria, Kenya's government has cut its 2017 economic growth forecast to 5.5% from an initial 5.9%. Growth is seen rising to 6.5% per year in the medium term. A government spokesperson explains that this year's forecast was reduced due to a severe drought in the first half of 2017. East Africa's largest economy has struggled to gain any real momentum after the first quarter, and economists see the country moving on a modest downward trajectory this year. In the meantime, Fitch Ratings' negative outlook on Kenya's sovereign debt could be withdrawn if a rerun presidential election goes relatively smoothly and debt to GDP levels fall. Fitch currently rates Kenya as B+ with a negative outlook, and this has not been altered since the decision by the Supreme Court to nullify the presidential election, citing irregularities. The global rating agency maintains that if Kenya achieves a decline in its debt to GDP levels, it could lead to a withdrawal of the negative outlook. And we're still in Kenya, where a legislator has warned that the National Assembly will throw out any bill aimed at altering the interest rate cap imposed on commercial banks in 2016. A year ago, the government capped commercial lending rates at 4% above the central bank rate, which stands at 10%, and also imposed a minimum deposit rate of 70% of the central bank rate. It accused lenders of failing to pass on the benefits of growth in the industry by charging more than 20% interest rates on loans. Bank bosses, who deny the claims of exploitation, say the cap has cut lending to risky borrowers like small enterprises, curbing economic growth. Most Kenyan banks have responded to the cap by reducing lending to the private sector and allocating higher investments to government bonds, which are perceived as risk-free. French bank Société Générale is betting on a new digital wallet called Yup to help meet its target of doubling retail clients in sub-Saharan Africa to 2 million by 2020. The wallet, built on technology from French startup firm TapPay, allows customers to transfer money, receive cash, and pay bills with a mobile phone. SocGen believes that as banks in the region deal with less than 20% of the population, Africa could yield rapid growth from a low base. Yup has been launched specifically for the African market and introduced in Ivory Coast and Senegal this year, with plans to roll out in 4 more countries by the end of 2018. And that's our program today. Thank you for watching. I am Bisi Adebayo.